Mind you, this is the type of live broadcast where everything that happens in the club is on the radio. The music being played, the host, it's all on the radio. So my technician who's there from the street team comes up and he does this to me, which means we're out. It's about that time that commercial should have started, right? For the end of the broadcast. So that means I can start firing off on the mic. So I proceed to host the ass shaking contest on the radio, not knowing I was on the radio.
Wow.
And I told some chick, I said, this bitch looks like fucking Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, and that went over the air.
I got the audio.
Big Boy's Neighborhood, beautiful day in the neighborhood, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I've been waiting on this one, man. Bootleg Kev. Welcome to the neighborhood, my brother.
Hey, I've been waiting for this one too.
No, this is crazy, man. I'm gonna tell you, Kev, bro. Like I really love what you do.
Thank you, man.
Like, and I'm telling you, man. Like, I've just been seeing this thing where with you, Bootleg Kev. Not only have I seen just the growth, you know what I'm saying, but I see that you put it all into you. You know what I'm saying, as far as brand and everything, man. Right. How did this start off for you, Kev?
Like everything?
Yeah. Not even just like our relationship or just here, like.
I mean,
did you always DJ early?
Yeah. So I got like I was always like a hip hop head as a kid.
Yes, sir.
My boy Ramses, who you've talked to,
love him, bro.
We've been locked in since I was 5, and he kind of. My mama was like listening to MC Hammer and like Cypress Hill, but Ramses is who kind of like plugged me with like the real like hip hop stuff, like Wu-Tang, Tupac, all that stuff, right? So I was around 5 when I got Doggy Style on tape, which was a problem when my mom heard it.
Right. Especially, you were how old?
5.
Yeah, I think that would be a problem, yeah.
So what happened was my grandma, you remember the Columbia CD?
Oh, yeah,
you used to be able to get like 25 CDs for a penny or whatever in the magazines?
Mess your credit up, yep.
Yeah, so exactly. My grandma used to get those, so she got Doggy Style on accident, or I don't know if she checked it off. But my grandma
ain't shit but hoes.
Well, she didn't know what she didn't know who Snoop Dogg was.
Right.
She just saw a cartoon on the cover.
Gotcha.
And so I got a tape, and I just learned that whole thing front to back. And by the time I learned it, my mom took it away. And but yeah, I was hooked, man. Doggy Style was the most important. That and probably Bone Thugs Creeping on a Come Up were probably the 2 like formulative tapes I had as a youngin.
And so you always just kind of loved it anyway, though.
For sure. It was like my first love, that and basketball. And then, I always wanted to get turntables. And so I think when I was 12, my dad got me the real cheap, like DJ in a box set that was in the back of the Source.
Oh, yeah.
It was like $200, 2 belt drive turntables and like a really terrible mixer. And then that's when I found out how expensive vinyl was. And we were like super poor. So I had turntables, and then there was this hip hop store in Phoenix called Living in Hip Hop, and the dude who owned it, he would just give me the trash vinyl he had that like nobody wanted.
Right.
So I had like just terrible songs to work with. Like every once in a while, I'd be able to buy, and then I didn't understand doubles or anything. I had no one to teach me. I was just like a little kid.
Hey, man, but isn't that the best, though, when you're exploring hip-hop,
sure.
when you're exploring DJing, man? I remember my first turntables was those Radio Shack Realistic. My first was, they used to have these stereos where the arm would drop, and it was like furniture. So I had a turntable on top of that and the furniture, and like the same thing with the belt drive. You try to spin it back, and then it'll go slow going forward. Realistic mixer. And I remember my first so-called set of turntables as well. I built a DJ coffin. That thing probably weighed 200 pounds.
Yeah,
because I didn't know how to, build and all that.
It's a serious like commitment, and at that age, like I kind of, by the time I turned like 14 or 15, I was so like, I just couldn't. I had to support my CD habit because I was buying albums. Any extra money I'd get that I was hustling up because I had like a little part-time job as a kid. I would buy CDs every Tuesday from like the warehouse, or I'd go collect all the 5 mic albums.
Yeah, man.
So I try to go find like if I could get like a De La Soul album used, or just to kind of.
Dude.
So that was kind of my like between like the ages of like probably 10 and like 16. I was just, nonstop listening to everything. And I kind of got over DJing. So my best friend, David, who's still my best friend, I ended up selling him my turntables.
Did you have Technique 1200s at the time?
No, I still had them trash ones.
Yeah.
And so I didn't actually end up like getting back into taking like DJing serious until I was like 19 and I was interning at the station. And Serato, because I was poor.
Wow.
I was supporting a kid when I was 19. I had a newborn baby. I had a 1-year-old. And when I saw Serato, I was like, oh, I don't have to spend all that money on all those records.
Hey, man, I remember before Serato, Kev, I remember just going and I would just buy things by the title. Or the cover. Yeah, by the cover, the same way Grandma did with Snoop. You know, or I would just buy because I was always exploring records, man. And I used to love vinyl. And I love DJing. And I just love learning tricks and everything, man. When Serato came, because I come from the cloth of two where you hit the name of your record.
Right, you had white labels, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember paying $50 for It's Time for All Night Fish.
Crazy.
It's Time. It's $50 for one copy. I had one, and now, you know, with Serato, it was like, oh, people are like, oh, let me get yours. Yeah. But we used to hoard and hover over your records because you just weren't sharing them at all, man.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was 14 and my friend Ramses, I told you about, his brother's in Dilated Peoples.
Oh, yeah.
So shout out to Rocka, Ira Science. So I grew up around those guys. So we came to L.A. for the Expansion Team album release party when I was a kid. My mom trusted Ramses a lot, obviously. And I went to Fat Beats for the first time, and it was like a wet dream in there.
Yeah.
There was so much records.
And
I was like, I've never seen.
How old are you around that time?
I was 14.
Wow, 14, yeah.
But that was cool. And like I'm chilling in the back. Rod Digga's there. Like Pharoah Monch was there. You know, I'm hanging out with the
Does that light something in you? But even if it kind of lit something or relit or even turned the flame up, you still had to, by necessity, back away.
I don't know, bro. It just always was like my life. I don't know. I just love this. I love hip hop, man.
So
like,
at 19, you come back to it because Serato.
No, I never left it.
Yeah.
But so I was doing radio, like in high school. I got started. So I was trying to figure out how to make if I want to do music as a career.
Right. And when you say music as a career, what do you mean?
Just anything.
Right.
Like I tried writing raps. I tried
throw everything
figuring
up
out how to
the
learn
wall.
beats.
Yep.
Like DJing was such a expensive thing I just couldn't afford. So I went when I was 15. There was a school in Phoenix, or in Mesa rather, which is in the Phoenix area, called EVIT, which was like a technical school that if you had let's say you were at your home high school. Instead of taking your elective classes there, you would get in a bus and go to this school and take elective courses there, and it would count against your home school's credits, right? So they had a radio broadcasting class. And so we did like a little field trip there. And when I saw that they were learning Pro Tools in there, I was like, oh, that's Pro Tools. I need to learn Pro Tools, because I could record rappers if I learn Pro Tools.
Right.
And so I signed up for radio broadcasting, and then I just fell in love with radio. Like, I was like, yo, this is my thing. Because I was always the guy talking crazy in class. I was always getting in trouble for I was just a smart ass, So I was like, oh, I can get paid to just be myself.
Right.
And still be involved with the culture, So I had like an underground show that went a mile around my high school. And we were cleaning up.
And at that time, that's all you needed.
We were cleaning up like Beanie Siegel and Kanye. We were cleaning up random stuff, Big L, old school classic Big. I bring my CDs in and play them in real time into Pro Tools and then edit them so we could play them on the radio. And so that was kind of but actual, when I say DJing, getting back on the turntables, rocking parties and shit, that was 2000, or that was when I was 19 when Serato dropped, but I never left.
Right. You didn't abandon it.
No, yeah. So 15, 16, 17, and then graduating, I was in I was on the radio in Mesa at this little school.
Did you always not always want to do radio, but once you got in, did you know
oh yeah, I was all in.
Yeah, man.
Once I got into radio, it was over.
Yeah.
I didn't have any other plan.
And that's the same thing with me, Kev. I was one of those, I threw everything up against the wall. I just knew I wanted to be in some kind of entertainment.
Right.
I just loved it, man. I love music. I love hip hop. I loved everything about it. Even acting. I tried to throw everything up against the wall. So when radio came for me, I was already bodyguarding the Far Side, and I was bodyguarding the Far Side because I enjoyed being around music. I enjoyed the tour bus. I enjoyed going to venues. It was like I was living this dream. I never traveled until I never went out of California really until I got on that tour bus. And that's when I realized how big California was driving up to Oregon and to Washington.
Speaking of albums that I bought because the cover was cool.
Yeah, Far Side Bizarre Ride. Yeah, you got some dudes on in a roller coaster.
And then I was like, oh, Passing Me By's on here. I've had this on a burnt CD for a while.
Yeah, man. So it's just this thing. You can't. There's a different kind of love when you love it like that.
For sure, for sure.
Man. And so like you say, you just kind of threw everything in, but you knew when you got to radio. When I got to radio, I knew I was like, I like this. And I only was supposed to do radio for one night.
I've heard the story.
Yeah, and then when they gave me the second night, I was like, oh, okay, that's 2 nights because we was on tour with the Lollapalooza tour. And when Rick Cummins hit me back and was like, hey, you know, would you like to try radio? I was like, man, I'll try it. And once I got in, I was like, I never want this to go away. Or I'll try to hold on to this for as long as I can. Yeah. And I've met some of the best people from what we do as a job.
Right.
You know, and to this day, 30 years later, bro, I'm still excited about it.
Yeah, that's how it was for me. Like, when I was graduating high school, I would have given, like, a left arm to land an internship at one of the stations, you know, at the in Phoenix, you know. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up interning right away as soon as I graduated. And I worked for free for, like, almost 2 years.
Yeah, man.
And I was just so thirsty to, like, not lose it, you know? Like, I was working, man, when I tell you, with a newborn baby, I was at the swap meet on the weekends selling counterfeit products.
Right. Go ahead.
Supporting my kid.
As you should.
And,
you have to sometimes.
And then, you know, working like 50 or 60-hour weeks on the flavor unit. Like.
For free.
For free. Setting up tents.
Hey, man, does it trip you out now when you fast forward? Sometimes you can't get someone that's as passionate now.
It's not. No, that you can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to stay all nice. Yeah. That just don't understand. Like, man, this the way either you get on or the way you got it. It's like, man, the turnover rate now, people internship. Like,
and there were so many like limited slots to like be a paid promotions director. So it was like, damn, I got to hang around until one of these cats get cut, or something else opens up.
And so you did that for 2 years, just kind of on the flavor unit and staying on the street team?
Almost 2 years, yeah. And then so my first like paid, so I got put on the street team. So I was working for 2 years I was working for 14 months straight, no pay in any capacity. Newborn baby. Then I got put on the street team, which was minimum wage.
Right.
But I was still interning for Joey Boy and Jay Filler, the Nuts in the Morning, for free.
Yeah.
For another additional year. So I was still working for free 6 to 7 hours every morning because I wanted to be around those guys. So I would intern for them, even though I finally got a paid gig, you know, after 14 months.
Right.
I still was working for free in the building. You know, I still was there. So there was times where I would do a street hit or a movie premiere, work the fair, and then once they put me on overnight. Shout out to Carly Hustle. She heard me do a call in and she gave me an overnight opportunity. Or she started having me board up for Melissa the Minute I'm MC. Shout out to Melissa. My days would literally be street hit, take a 2-hour nap on the couch at the radio station, board up overnight, and then stay awake for the morning show.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
It was like wild.
Yeah, man. And
like I lived at the radio station. And like I just didn't want to have like any opportunity for like someone else to come in and take the next slot. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
like,
do you feel like that still to this day? Like even with me, Kev, I don't take days off. I don't do
I don't do days off.
Oh, we filling in for Big Boy. Like, no, you're not.
You can ask James. I mean, I was in bed sick on Monday on Skype.
Yeah, man.
Recording a radio call.
When did you get microphone one? Like, when did it become your thing?
Like lead mic on a full-time gig?
Yeah.
Well, I was doing weekends and fill-in work at Power for a while. Mm-hmm. And I ended up knowing I needed to kind of move. Bruce St. James gave me the kick in my ass. He fired me. Shout out to Bruce, who you worked with.
I know Bruce, yeah.
I missed a meeting and he fired me. And he said, you need this right now.
Yeah.
And I took a job, which I was already talking to. I ended up.
And it's Power in Phoenix?
Power in Phoenix, yeah.
Got you.
My first full-time solo gig was in Boise, Idaho.
Oh, so you traveled for it.
Afternoons. I was making $25,000 a year with like a 3-year-old. It was terrible. It was a year. I did a year.
Right.
And then I had to go work for Sharita Salisbury in Las Vegas. But I had to get by to Boise, you know? So I was there a year. I said, I'm gonna go there for a year, and I was so thirsty to get out.
What do you do in Boise, Idaho?
I mean, listen, to give Boise some credit, it's a beautiful
Please.
place to raise a family.
Right. But
Lot
you
of-
weren't there to raise a family, though.
No, I was,
Right.
you know, it's a lot of people are moving there. You know, it's a beautiful
Yeah.
place. It's a Mormon community. Everything closes early. You know, you go to football games. It's a Boise State football. They got that blue football field.
Right, and they do a lot of Friday night lights.
It's just like it's a Mormon town, so it closes early. There's a lot of bars. There's not a lot of clubs. It's weak.
Were you the station you were at? Was it a hip hop station?
Yes, it was wild. It was a new station. It was called Wild 101. Boise's number. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know, dude.
Boise's #1 for hip hop.
Something
Right.
like
and
Boise's
the
only one.
It was funny because
Boise's only one for
the
hip hop.
program director at the time,
It was Doc.
no,
Oh, okay.
he didn't want me to go by Bootleg Kev because he thought it was too hood.
Oh.
So I just was
You know-
Kev in the afternoon,
You know how dangerous that is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How did you get the name Bootleg Kev?
selling counterfeit products at the SWAT
Yeah.
meet. So I used to come to the station.
That's better than counterfeit Kev, right? It could have been.
Could have been actually.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, man. Counterfeit Kev.
It might have a ring to it. No. So I used to come to the station with like these like rolling, you know, bins of CDs, DVDs, and then I'd also have like bootleg jerseys from China.
Right.
So this is before the secret was out about bootleg jerseys, because now they're, I mean, when I go to these football games,
oh my God.
I want to throw.
You can tell.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
They're terrible. But back then, this was new on the streets. So people are thinking, I'm paying $20 a jersey to some lady. I'm jumping on MSN Hotmail webcam with this lady, and she's showing me products. I'm like, I'll take that. They're triple stitched.
Right. So you the plug.
So I'm the plug. Everyone thinks they're getting authentic jerseys off me for like $100. I'm making 75 off each one. It's wonderful.
Right.
So I would roll through the station and tell all the salespeople jerseys, or I'd come through with the list of players I had available, and they'd put their orders in. They'd give me a deposit.
Not knowing they bootleg?
Correct.
Okay. So at that time, you're just Kevin.
Well,
Yeah, because if you would have walked in,
Joey
somebody
Boy
say,
knew.
But yeah, of course Joey
So
knew. He
Joey
cut from the
started
cloth.
calling me Bootleg Kev.
Yeah, he
on
cut
the
from
air.
the cloth. Yeah, exactly. But if you just walked in and somebody said, "Hey, this Bootleg Kev, he's selling jerseys," from the rip, I would have been like, "Oh no, I'm straight."
And then I would have like like all the mixtape. This is the mixtape era.
Yeah.
So all the G Unit radios, all the like, all
So dope.
when the game had he was beefing with G Unit, all his
Right.
mixtapes. and
Yeah, man.
all that.
The DVD. Were you the DVD
Yeah,
guy?
I was
too?
having the Smack DVDs, all that. And then if you wanted like the Matrix 3, but it was a guy holding the camera in
That
the
was
front
you.
row, that was me.
Yeah, man.
Mhm.
So the new boxes, those boxes put you out of business too, though. You know what I'm saying?
I've been out of the business
yeah,
for a while.
Of course, because the
I
game
almost got
got
arrested
different.
a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
because the game got different too.
Yeah.
though. All right, so you in Boise, you go back, you go to Las Vegas, and how's Vegas for you?
Changed my life.
Yeah, man.
So when I got to Vegas, I worked for a lady named Sharita Salisbury, who has a notorious reputation in the business.
Go ahead now.
She's no longer in the business. But Sharita, shout out to my guy B-Dot, Brandon Scales. He was like, look, because he knew I didn't want to be in Boise. He's one of my best friends. He was like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to
You
get
got a lot of best friends. That's like
He's
the
one of
third
them.
or
I'm about to
fourth.
be in Brandon's wedding in like 6 days.
All right.
But B-Dot was like, yo, I'm gonna get you this interview. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get the job. Like, just this is what you're signing up for. This lady's kind of crazy. So I went and worked for Sharita. She was kind of crazy, as advertised. But
Right.
but she gave me an opportunity. A lot of big talent went through that station. DJ Franz and people who were across the street, certain people went through that place. But being there, I'm like a hip hop head, so I'm on the blogs like crazy. It's blog era, peak blog era hip hop, right? Like my favorite time in hip hop ever. So I saw a guy named Peter Parker, and he was uploading his interviews on YouTube. And I was like, damn, at the time the flip cam came out, the little thing you would just hold and it had a little USB that popped out. So
Yes.
I'm in Vegas. Nobody in Vegas at this radio station is taking advantage of the fact that they're in Vegas and everyone's there, like all the time. So, and the station's on the Strip, right across from Mandalay Bay. So I part of my request when I got the job was I need my underground hip hop show on Sunday nights. So I'll do your night show, but on Sunday nights I got to be able to play all the boom bap, real rap shit, And she let me do it. So through that Sunday night slot, I was able to be like, I was breaking artists. Like, you could ask like Top Dog, like, we're playing K-Dot before he was Kendrick, and I was cleaning up like J. Cole mixtape shit and like, just that whole era of hip hop that was so special, Mac Miller, like I was breaking Mac Miller stuff like off of the Kids mixtape. And so I was able to set up these interviews just on my own on Twitter because I would always tag the artist when I'd be playing them. I'd be like, #now playing, at J. Cole NC, whatever, whatever, right? So like everyone starts to notice, oh, we're getting radio play somewhere with these underground songs. And so I would start reaching out, DMing people, and we weren't allowed to have guests at this radio station. So every interview I did at this station was like covert ops.
Right.
So I had my dude, Baby Joel, who would hold the camera. We would always do them late at night. Like you can go on YouTube and look at like I got Kendrick freestyling over Hail Mary in the studio. I got J. Cole freestyling at the station. I got all these like cool moments. And my program director had no idea because she didn't know about YouTube yet.
Right.
Oh.
Hey, man, so you would, even though they weren't supposed to be, you'll bring them in
I
the
had
station.
It cracking at night. I got caught one time, but then it was with a local rapper. My boy Sean Rose pulled up, and she popped in for something, and she went in. But yeah, I mean, dude, like I would literally like, I would get in trouble for like being on my phone. She would have cameras in the main studio, not cameras in the side studio, which is where we did all the interviews. Right. In the main studio, there was a camera looking at you, and it streamed to her fucking phone at home. And she even, at times, it'd be on her TV. So you weren't allowed to be on your computer. You weren't allowed to be on your phone.
Could you eat in the studio?
No.
Yeah.
And so there was times where like you would get hit, and she'd be like, "Hey, did you just look at your phone?" And she'd be like, "Let me see what's in your pockets while you're crazy. I mean, crazy, insane. Like, when I tell you, next level crazy. And also, I love Sharita. I want to say I love her because she changed my life.
Right.
Despite her weight, she didn't know any better. It was her first gig. Cruz used to work with her. He'll tell you.
Jesus.
That's where I met Jay Noyes. Well, Cruz.
Right. Yeah.
He was the morning guy at the time. So yeah, it was a wild place to work. But I was running all these underground rappers through the studio at night, running up my YouTube channel. And my YouTube was getting hella like recognition on all the blog sites, and it kind of made me like a brand, I guess, And I didn't even think I realized that was happening, but it was cool because if you were to go to like Nah Right or Two Dope Boys, you would see all my interviews, because I was interviewing everybody. So Vegas changed my life.
Hey man, now when you fast forward to where we are now, bro, it's like you one of those guys that people look to now. As far as truth serum when it comes to hip hop, authentic interviews. Like I sit down, bro, and I watch your interviews, and I'm just like, man, that's Kev being Kev. And you can interview any and everybody. Right. You know what I'm saying? And make any, and the one thing I love about you too, Kev, is that you will make yourself very human.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like when ESTG, when he walked out on you, you put that footage up.
Of course, I put it up right away.
Right. Yeah.
As soon as he hit that door,
you're like,
I looked at my guy. I said, upload that shit before the label tells us not to drop it.
Right. 3
hours later, the label said, hey, just so we're clear. I'm like, it's already up.
It's already up. Yeah,
it's out,
man.
It's out. So, I'm sorry. It's out.
Hey, man, do you have and I get this all the time, do you have a best, worst, or never again?
I would say that the worst interview I ever did was Krayshawn. She was the Gucci girl.
Yeah, I remember that.
Let me Google her again.
Yeah, look at this.
I kind of like just ended the interview and kind of kicked her out of the studio. I was just like, hey, you don't want to do this. You just go out there and take pictures with the staff. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Right. What was so bad about it?
She just sucked. She just was like visually like uncomfortable talking to me. And I don't know why. It was just like she was stuck
short?
up.
Like, was she short on you? Like, how's everything?
Yes. Yeah. And she was like looking like this. You're like not looking at you. It was just like, hey, what are we doing here? Like, don't waste my time.
Did you put that interview? Was that interview live?
No. This was in Phoenix. This was one of those interviews where it was like a radio promo one. She was up and coming.
Right. I remember the name. I remember her. I'm wondering if we had her. Yeah.
Louis,
I know the name very well. I've had so many guests in though, bro.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of best, I don't even know,
right.
dude.
That's hard.
That one's the hard one because I've had so many dope ones. Funnest interview I had recently was with OT.
Oh my God, that Mexican OT.
It wasn't much of an interview. Me and his dad split a bag of shrooms before the interview started.
That's nice.
Did Pops didn't try to work you out?
Yeah,
Oh,
he always
man.
tries to work me out. Pause.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, that was wild. It was like 3 hours long, and I was tripping balls the whole interview. And this dude Thomas from Dope as Yola, who's got he's got the biggest podcast in the weed space, and he's got one of the bigger podcasts. Period. Dope as Yola came with his big dab rig. I don't know if you know what a dab rig is. It's like a bong, but for like serious smokers.
Yeah.
With
Okay,
like a torch, you know. And so this guy's just handing out dabs to everybody, and it was just
But you're getting the work done too.
it was fun.
Yeah.
Good content.
Yeah. Hey man, I think we got flagged on our YouTube channel
Oh, I've
with
been
that Mexican OT.
Yeah, I got flagged.
Talking about, I think the reason we were trying to figure out why, but he was talking about how you guys went like wild boar hunting in the helicopter.
Yeah, we did that. So you know what's funny is that YouTube video didn't get flagged on my channel. Monetized fully. Yeah.
And I'm almost afraid to ask. As far as were y'all shooting them and everything too?
Oh yeah, we were smoking them.
Yeah, we don't know.
Pigs.
Yeah, we don't know what it could be. You know, we don't know if it was the rapid fire of him cursing at the beginning.
I mean, he does do the rapid fire thing.
Yeah, and the cursing too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this video, we're killing pigs. I mean, you could see the pigs being killed, and it's good. Green light, no yellow check mark. I was surprised.
What the hell made you? And I mean, he get down anyway as a good Southern boy from Texas. What made you say, okay, let's go do this?
So he had brought it up, and I had seen a YouTube video, because I always hear Joe Rogan talking about how there's like this problem in Texas where these pigs, there's like millions of pigs, and they're like invasive, and they ruin crops or whatever. So OT had brought it up, and I was like, yo, I'm down to go. And he was like, I don't think he thought I was like really down. And he was like, yo, come on. And then he hit me with some dates, and I was like, cool, my flight's booked. I'm there. And he was like, oh shit, we're really gonna do this. So he's done it before. He knew the pilot.
Right. Yeah, he was telling us about the pilot too.
Yeah.
He's a gnarly dude, man. Shout out to my boy. But yeah, I've never hunted. So it was, I'm an animal lover.
Right.
But you know what? They explained to me they kill a lot of dogs. So I said, well, we got to go save some dogs.
Yeah. Just one reason.
I said, we got to save dogs today, boys.
And then he was saying that you could do it and just kind of leave them there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is you're killing these pigs in flat plains of Texas. So there's so much wildlife everywhere. Let me give you an example. One of the pigs we killed in that video, we left it, and about an hour and a half later on our trail back,
The circle of life.
we came back and this thing was destroyed. I don't know if it was coyotes or a pack of wolves, but something ate this thing to its bone.
Probably my cousin Rufus. He loved pork. He didn't eat anything out
My
there.
thing is it's a lot of good chorizo just being wasted.
Right. Yeah, well, go down and get it for real.
We have this homeless problem. We should be giving these.
But y'all in a helicopter getting down, right?
So during the day we did the helicopter. At night we had night vision goggles. We were on foot.
That's insane.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that was sick.
None of them shot back at y'all?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
no,
Just checking. Yeah.
But I did. I mean, listen. I probably killed 6.
Right. Is there maybe as far as who you won't invite back for a particular reason?
Yes, there are people. I won't say their name. I have relationships with a certain artist that I'm really, really close friends with, and due to the behavior of other artists towards that artist, I won't share my platform with them.
Right.
Nothing personal, but it's a loyalty thing.
Right.
ESTG, a lot of people would probably expect me to say that. I would have him back on.
Right.
I don't take the one thing about the music industry and the radio industry, entertainment industry, really in life, I try not to take things personal anymore. I used to be that guy who would be I would have beef, I would have radio beef, I was beefing with everybody. And now I don't take any of this personal. Everyone's trying to feed their family,
Right.
And some people might be on drugs when you talk to them.
Yeah. I just don't play with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As a man, I just don't play. I don't play radio games. I never played radio games. I never been the guy that, it's radio war and all that shit. I was the one that if it was a problem, I definitely was gonna step outside of the booth.
Right. No, that's how I am.
Yeah.
And certain people have found that out in
right,
LA.
yeah, you got to.
Because again, if there was a certain situation in which, you know, if I have a conversation with somebody and we're cool, we're supposed to be cool now. We don't own these places.
Right, man.
Just watch your mouth on the radio, because then you're going to have to see me and say the same thing.
Right.
But what I'll never do is participate in the low-hanging fruit, because I used to be Radio Warren. I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
But I do not play when it comes to just the disrespect. I always tell people, like, look, if you're going to say something crazy about me, you're going to run into me. Just keep the same energy. Please do. I beg you. I beg you.
Please
if I see you at Tony's Deli on Magnolia, keep that up.
Right. As you should.
Little knuckle sandwich.
As you should. Hey, man, and even with some of the interviews, man, just some of the interviews, people say, oh, what you get out of them, but people get real comfortable with you. You know what I'm saying? And even with NBA Youngboy, were you at his house?
Yeah.
Hey, man, was he on house arrest when you went over there? Did you have to get cleared?
Yeah, I had to get cleared by the
because they wanted us
FBI,
to do an interview. Yeah, and we had to get clearance. And when we did the clearance, whatever it was, something had happened. But months later, I think that's when you guys had the chance to, like, sit down.
So what happened was Youngboy had hit me on Instagram now probably like a year and some change ago. I interviewed Glorilla.
Mm-hmm.
Around that time, that interview was going viral, and I'm assuming that's what he saw. But he just had hit me and said, hey, I like your energy. Do you enjoy what you do? I was like, is this real?
Right.
Because Youngboy's like,
yeah, man,
one of them guys, you know?
And he one of those, he don't talk to everybody.
Right. So I just hit him and I said, yeah, man, you know, I love what I do. Like, I'd love to talk to you one day, whatever. And he was like, cool, man, you know, keep killing it, whatever. And then we had exchanged numbers. And then I got a random FaceTime out of nowhere from his guy. And I answered, and they're like, yo, can you come tomorrow? And I'm like, do you talk? And this was probably a Wednesday night, or yeah, because I had to record the radio show in the lobby of like a Provo, Utah Holiday Inn. So I forget what night. Yeah, I think it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. Nonetheless, I was like, we're either gonna drive or I'm gonna find flights. So we found flights at like 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning the next day. LAX flew out, and I had to send IDs of me and my camera guys, and I didn't know for what, you know. But then the whoever his guy is, the FBI guy or probation guy or whatever, he called me, and he's like, "Hey, I see some charges. What are these about?"
Oh, they ran the light scan on you.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah, let me tell you what happened there, you know." And he's like, "All right, cool. Just want to make sure, you know, you're not like up to no, you know." I was like, "No, that's what happened, you know." I had some charges where I told false information to a police officer, but the cop was a dickhead, so
of course
I went to jail.
There it is.
But yeah, so it was definitely.
So the interview, that's when y'all first meet, like you walking in.
Yeah, it was you saw the first time we met on camera. As soon as we pull up, his guy's like, "Yo, start rolling. He's about to roll down here on a horse."
Yeah, man.
And I said, "What?" So we didn't even mic up or nothing. That's all camera mics initially. And he was the nicest, kindest dude.
Man.
Can I say hi to you while you're on the horse? I just don't want to get kicked. May I pet the horse?
She cool.
Hey.
He is,
you know I'm an animal lover, man, so. Hey, man, it's good to finally meet you, bro. I appreciate you having me out here, bro. For real. It means a lot to me, man. So.
I appreciate you for coming.
For sure. It's beautiful out here, man. What's the name of your horse?
Tessa.
Tessa?
Yeah.
Tessa. How long did it take you to get good at riding a horse?
My grandfather used to take me riding and eating.
Okay.
Hey, bro.
Kind of.
You seized the opportunity. You started that right there on the
yeah.
horse path, huh? you was like, man, even we don't make it into the house, I'm about to start something
his guy was like, start rolling.
Yeah, man.
You know? So he was like, start shooting. So I wouldn't have did that normally. But his dude was like, start shooting. Like now. Pull your cameras out. Start shooting now. So then, you know, we hung out. We rode horses. Well, I didn't ride a horse. I rode a dinghy. But we walked around. We hung out. We did like pretty much shot that. And then he wanted to make a song with me, which was random. He was like, "You want to make a song?" I was like, "I guess if you're gonna write it, you know." Like, we ended up instead. He was just like, "Yo, let's just sit on my couch and talk," you know. So we sat up in there and did a whole another interview. We literally got like 2 nice, dope pieces of content, and he was so cool, and like hospitality was amazing. You know, I know people are complicated, you know.
Mhm.
So I had nothing but good vibes from him.
Hey man, in the fatherhood part where he
You know,
speaks
obviously,
here.
you do have a lot of children, and you know, I've been around you to see in a short amount of time that you're a great father. How important is fatherhood to you, man?
Not really big on it, to be honest.
Damn, yeah.
What do you mean by that? You're not big on it. Like I mean, you're a family man. I'm here with you. I see it.
Yeah, but I'm only out. I'm only like in here because you here.
Oh, well, I don't believe
It's
you.
a crazy topic because I'm not the type like to sugarcoat nothing. But I'm 4 walls all day, every day.
When you say 4 walls, you mean locked in,
Yeah.
just honed in on the music, recording?
Answer of him like I'm in here because you're here. I'm not that great of a father. As a father, did that kind of like throw
I mean,
you
listen,
off?
I saw him interacting with his kids all day.
Right.
So I'm like, you know, I think I don't want to be the guy to like speculate like what he goes through, you know, mentally, and you know, he's obviously got a lot of trauma in his life that he's dealt with. But I saw him hanging with his kids all day, and
Right.
he was a great dad from what I saw. You know, I think he holds a lot of weight on his shoulders. It feels like, and I feel like he always probably. I mean, in the interview, he said he feels like he's gonna end up back in jail. That's just like inevitable. So, you know, I feel like he holds a lot of trauma on his shoulders, and you know, again, I don't like speculating on like what might be
Right.
going on with him.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting thing to say, but I didn't take it. It seemed worse on YouTube
When they got clips.
because I'm
and out
like,
of
well, I
context.
seen him with his kids.
Right.
That's why I said I don't believe you. Like, I've seen you with your kids, like, and you know, like I said, complicated guy, I'm sure. All of my and again, I'm dealing with him when I release these edits. Like when we drop the interviews, like I'm sending everything to him directly. Like I'm not sending it to his manager. Like he's replying like, "Thanks, Kev. I appreciate
And he was
you."
cool with it.
Super cool.
Yeah.
He was like, thanked me for showing a different side of him, and you know, he was saying that like all the other stuff that had released around that time wasn't approved. So I was like, well, thank you for the opportunity, you know.
Hey
So-
man, when you sit down with like Blueface and his queen,
Gosh.
Which queen?
Chris, what's her name? Chris.
I've done them both.
Chris Sean.
Yeah.
Chris Sean. And is that wild to you?
So that was a wild day, very wild day. Blueface, I consider a friend.
Right.
Another guy who's complicated.
Right.
His internet persona is one thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows what it is.
Right.
He's smart.
Yeah, he know how to super serve that.
Correct. So he was like 2 hours late to the interview. I was already doing work at my studio, so I was already
Right, you
doing.
were there.
It's cool. He gets there. He wants a haircut. So his barber comes. I have them cut him in one of my spare rooms at my spot. And the whole time, Blueface and Krishan are bickering. Like, I'm talking about bickering like they're being filmed, but they're not. So I was like, oh, this isn't for like Instagram. Like, they really be fighting, you know? So the interview starts and she's just in a terrible mood. Like they were fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And so during the interview, she's like digging into my table with these scissors, and she like carves her initial and his initial into the table.
Right.
And it was so.
Are you watching this?
I am, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna get a new table soon anyway.
Right.
And I'm not even trying to go there with this crazy ass broad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Respectfully, you know. But,
Oh yeah, respectfully.
yeah. She's got. I mean, you can see it. She's doing this, and I was just like, what are you doing there? You know? I said, what are you doing over there? And then yeah, so that was on the table for a while.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was, you know, this is the thing. I think that specific relationship at that time when I interviewed them, it just felt like man, dude, it just felt like the most ugliest toxic thing going on in the world. Like in terms of like the blogosphere and stuff.
Hey man, have you sat with Lefty Gunplay?
Oh yeah.
I love that motherfucker, man.
Yeah, he's dope.
Hey man.
He's great. He's actually, and he's a nice kid. I mean, he might be on some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He says it.
Right. Yeah. Hey man, but that's another one that I look at. I'm like, man, do you?
Do you unapologetically?
Yeah, and that's what you're supposed to do, bro.
And he actually could rap.
Yeah.
Like he did a game start from scratch freestyle that was hard. And he did a Eminem Superman freestyle that was crazy. So I'm like, yo, you could actually rap, bro, for real. So like I like Lefty. He's a funny guy. I hope he you know, I told him this. I'm like, yo, you got to get out of move out the hood, bro.
Right.
Please come over to the valley.
You got to, man.
Like,
do you enjoy interviews?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you still enjoy it?
I still do. Yeah. I think that anytime I get burnt out, I'll take some time off.
Gotcha.
Like you'll see, like there'll be like a 2 or 3 week gap, but I always still enjoy it. You know, like I like talking to people who want to be interviewed.
Yeah, and you talk to a lot of people, Kev.
Yeah, there's times though where like if I'm interviewing somebody who just is just there because it's a part of their
It's
like,
a run.
It's like, dude, give me something, bro.
Right.
Like, can we? What do you like to do? What are you into? What
kind of, like you came here.
Yeah, like you're here.
Like
you're, like ESTG. Like you came. Your album's coming out.
Right.
You came here, and you were late.
Right.
Super late.
Man, there's times, man, and when I was talking about have you ever stopped one, whatever, I got a few. I asked you about your worst interview.
Yeah.
My worst interview was Bone Thugs and Harmony. That was like one of my
Which
first
members?
Interviews. All of them. It was all of them together.
All 5?
Yeah. Well, it was all 4 because I think
Flesh was in jail.
Probably at that time, or maybe Flesh was there.
Well, if this was one of your first
Flesh
ones,
caught a case later when he did the long bid.
When they first came out, Flesh was in.
Okay, so yeah, Flesh wasn't there. And I remember, man, this was like one of my first interviews.
Oh yeah, during that era, they're probably tore up.
Yeah, and it was like, how long y'all been together? Forever. How old are you guys? Old enough. You know what I'm saying? So we cut the mics off. We have a conversation. But like to this day, those are my partners. I just did an off-air interview with them probably 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, but then and another time, man, was Timbaland.
Oh.
Timbaland. And that Timbaland's my guy, bro. And to this day, I never really talk about this publicly, but you know, I had Missy Elliott on. And Timbaland was in the studio in the neighborhood with us. And so while he's there, she's answering questions. He's there. He's reading like a newspaper. This is how long ago it was. So I'm like, Timbaland, you know, what you up to? Pretty much the same thing. Oh, nothing. You know, I said, you know, boom. I cut the interview. And I remember, man, I told Jason, our producer, I said, man, I'm out of here. I ain't even fucking with this. I'm gone. And Jason was like, no, you don't leave. Kick them out. So we just went in and told them they had to leave. You know what I'm saying?
Missy too?
But they came together. You come together, you leave together. And this isn't me saying something, you know, 20 plus years later, because Timbo and I, man, that's my partner. He even tell you like, Big, I'm glad you did that. You know what I'm saying?
Taught him a lesson.
Yeah, and it taught me one too. You know what I'm saying? It taught me to roll people out faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you remember Danny D. Kane?
Of course.
Danny D. Kane, man, was another one that we had to like.
Really?
Yep, you can leave.
I remember.
One of them didn't like Liz, who was my co-host at the time.
Oh, well,
And
wasn't one of them banging one of the people at the old station?
Yep, and that was Liz buddy, not on no bullshit.
Right, but she was just being a jealous cat.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that was like Liz was like friend. I don't know if they lived together. It was something, but they were friends, like for real.
Right.
And she had a problem with that, man, and she was so shitty. So shitty with Liz,
now
man.
all those girls are, I don't know. Hey, by the way, Danny D. Kane had some bangers, though.
Yeah, they did.
They had some joints.
Yep.
But, Lord knows.
And I remember out of respect, I called Puff and I was like, hey, man, I just asked him to leave, so on and so forth, you know, and that's just the way it is.
Hey,
you know?
man.
And now I just in a position, too, Kev, where if I feel like I don't want to have a conversation, I'm like, nah, I'm straight.
Yeah, I'll do that, too, sometimes where it's like, you know, I just did an interview. It's funny because I just did an interview with this kid, Baby Drill, right? Baby Drill's, he's dope. He's signed to, I think he might be signed to 21 Savage. 21. But it was a rough interview. But it's also like he's a kid, like a kid for real, and you could tell he hasn't done many interviews.
Right.
So I kind of also was like, okay, well, and like it was like, usually I try to go an hour with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I think this month was like maybe 25 minutes, right? I was like, okay, well, thanks for coming.
Right.
But then he ended up coming to my studio randomly, like 2 weeks ago. OT was coming through, and Baby Drill showed up with our boy, And he was like, "Oh, I've been here. What's up?" And he was the coolest kid.
Yeah, man. Once they get a little more seasoning,
And I was like,
right?
"Hey," I was like, "Yo, this kid's actually got personality. Like, he's just not good on camera. Like, yeah,
Right.
you know." So like,
Right. It's
super-
different when they know that it's that time too.
And he
Like,
was
the
dealing with a
camera's
lot
on.
of, he in his past dealt with serious criminal stuff where he could have went away for a long time. I think he beat a murder charge.
Mhm.
We talked about in the interview. And so I think a lot of times when people come to my platform, you know, and there's that type of stuff that they're expecting, like gotcha questions or
Right.
incriminating stuff, but that's not what I do. So I'm like, he brought up he beat a murder charge. And I was like, yo, it's pretty serious. Like, you know, like what happened? Like, talk about, like, who's your lawyer, bro?
Right. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Plug him, please.
Hey, man, why do you think, and there's a certain way, I don't know how to quite ask this, but people look at you and you're from the family, you cut from the cloth, right? But people don't say culture vulture to you.
Oh, they do.
They do?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people know your
No,
background
they don't. They
of
don't,
what
they don't.
this is.
It's fine. I don't, like I said, I don't take nothing personal. But
Right.
yes, I get called a culture. That's the first thing. Anybody who wants to like say anything bad about me,
Yeah.
you fucking culture vulture. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it.
Right.
I'm white. Just say you fucking crack ass motherfucker.
Right.
That's really all you gotta say. But I'm not a culture vulture in my opinion. Like I think that it's not for me to say that, but in my heart I don't feel I am. I feel like there are culture vultures in the space for sure, in the music industry for sure. It's a term that's like, it's a cop-out a lot of times when people use it on me because they don't, like you said, they don't know me. A lot of people think I just started doing interviews like 3 years ago.
Right. Right.
Like people think I'm like some new dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, I've been doing this shit since you were a fucking thought in your daddy's balls, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely funny when people call it and they don't know shit about me.
Have you been caught up in the cancel culture?
Nah, not
Right.
yet.
Right. Not on everything, huh?
Honestly, I think that like cancel culture is, it feels like, I mean, listen, there's people who deserve to be canceled. Let's be
Right.
clear.
100.
Shout out to Diddy. But
You should let that one go.
yeah, but I mean, listen, allegedly.
Mhm.
But I mean, if that type of stuff is ever true, it's bad. But I think that like the cancel culture vibe of the last like decade is starting to wear down.
Right.
I think people, like you just saw Shane Gillis hosted Saturday Night Live after they
Right.
fired him for an old tweet.
Right.
You know, so I think like you know, there's not much you can say about me except for I'm an asshole sometimes. And
And then I think that I don't think you have like a lot of shield, and you don't send in the Bootleg Kev representative. Like I
No.
think who you are is like you probably could say something that like, oh, Big can't say that. You know, I think that you'll say some stuff or get some people on your show that people just like, oh, you know, that's Kev.
there are times like during our interviews, right, where I'm like, yo, we talked about some wild shit on that interview. Like, but, you know, knowing that I'm also on the radio everywhere.
Right.
Right? So it's like, I think though, I've done a good enough job of just like, listen, this is who I am. This is what you're getting. You're going to get a great radio show that me and James host every day. Shout out to my co-host, James Andre Jefferson Jr. Please
Go ahead
include
now.
the Andre.
I know, man. Jesus Christ.
It's a lot of
Yeah,
syllables.
James Andre
Not
Jefferson
a-
Jr.
Not a PPM friendly name. I'll
No,
tell you
it's
that.
not. Nah. If you know what PPM and
Oh, it's
radio,
not
like
at all.
that's a killer.
Yeah, it's like, it's literally.
Do you put all that shit like on your landing papers, like when you coming back from vacation? James Andre Jefferson.
It's
Jr.?
literally it's like a weekend break between songs. Like,
yeah.
but no, like, you know, like I said, dude, on my show, we've talked about some gnarly stuff on my podcast, some gnarly. And
Is there a difference between what you say on
oh yeah,
podcast
we'll talk
or
about
radio and then
oh yeah, we'll talk about like period sex during interviews or
Right.
like just disgusting.
you're like, well, that's not going to see the light of day in a national show.
Or like, you know, meth or something. I
Right.
don't know. Yeah, that won't go on the national show, of course. I mean, I would say probably 20% of my podcast interviews end up on the radio show.
Hey man, is there anything that you'll say, man, we got to take that out? Have you had
Yes.
For whatever reason,
Recently, I interviewed Yellow Wolf,
Oh, yeah.
who's a really good friend of mine and
Good guy, too, bro.
great guy.
Hell yeah.
We were talking about certain terms we wish we could have back from the 90s that we used to say freely to our friends.
Oh.
And there was a term that we repeatedly said over and over that you would used to call your dumb friend. And so I had to tell Eric LaRock, hey, when we said that,
Take that out.
just to be safe, just take it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Our producer, Jason, he say, even in here when we're talking, sometimes we're in front of the mic, and he'll say, always assume the mic is on.
That is a lesson that I did learn before. Actually, yeah.
A live mic?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you share those?
Oh, yeah, I can share.
What happened?
I actually have the audio.
Oh, shit.
Okay. This is a good one. Shout out to Orlando Davis, who is my program director in Tampa, Florida. Well, he was one of the greatest guys in radio, Wild 94.1 in Tampa. So I'm doing, at the time, when Rio launched, Doc offered me a job here initially. He offered me afternoons. I was his first choice. But I was under contract in Tampa. And the good old boys at Beasley wouldn't let me out of my deal, right? So this was like maybe 8 months into me moving to Tampa and doing afternoons there. Fast forward, my deal's up. Deal's up. Doc doesn't have anything solid for me besides weekends in LA. Okay? I got $100,000 offer on the table from Tampa to stay, to re-up. So I'm going to re-up, right? Now, it was a back and forth, though. Like, it was kind of like, it was 2016, so I kind of started to understand the negotiation a little bit. So I was being like a hard ass on negotiation, you know? So I'm doing the live broadcast. We're at the Club Sky, which is a legendary club in Tampa, Florida. It's in Ybor City. My street team guy, now mind you, this is the type of live broadcast where everything that happens in the club is on the radio. The music being played, the host, it's all on the radio. So my technician who's there from the street team comes up and he does this to me, which means we're out. It's about that time that commercial should have started, right? For the end of the broadcast. So that means I can start firing off on the mic. So I proceed to host the ass shaking contest on the radio, not knowing I was on the radio.
Wow.
And I told some chick, I said, this bitch looks like fucking Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, and that went over the air.
I got the audio.
Oh my God.
Dude, it's damn good. It's damn good. So I have no idea this goes on the air, right? I wake up in the morning and I realize it hit the airwaves.
So you didn't know at that time that night.
Correct.
So you thought you was just whoever was in the club, that's who you talking to.
And I was also fucked up.
Right.
So I was at the time, I was hammered. So this is what I said on the air.
That fucking dress right there is bright as shit. You look like fucking Macho Man in that dress.
And you hear how drunk I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nonetheless, that goes over the airwaves.
I love that you got it in your phone.
Wow.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Oh, always.
I want that old thing back.
So I find out in the morning it goes over the airwaves, right? And I'm like, oh, this isn't good.
How did you find out?
Somebody in the building gave me the heads up.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the website, and I'm not on the website anymore.
Oh, shit.
And then I get a text from Orlando saying, hey, come in at 2:30, 30 minutes before my show starts. Come to my office. So I resigned immediately before they could fire me.
Yeah.
I sent my resignation email
Right.
immediately.
Yeah, man. And you said you went on the website, you weren't there. You're like, I
knew
coming in 30 minutes early.
I gotta control my narrative, Big.
Hell yeah, man.
So Orlando calls me and he said,
"Come on,
he
Jack."
said, you're a smart motherfucker. And if anybody ever asks me, you quit.
Right.
And Orlando, stuck to his word. Nobody ever knew I got fired from there, besides my friends. Well, I didn't get fired. I didn't get fired.
Never got
Because
I quit.
there it is, bro.
I fucking quit.
You got a great heads up, bro.
And then I ended up coming out here and doing weekends and
now
driving
look
from
at you.
Phoenix to LA every weekend and killing myself. And we're here.
But look at you now.
Exactly. It all worked out.
You see?
Otherwise, I'd have been wasting away in Tampa, which I love Tampa, but I don't know if I'd have been doing this cool shit.
God's
in Tampa as
plan,
here.
man. God's plan. You're supposed to say that. What you say? This bitch look like? What was it?
She dressed like a fucking wrestler.
Yeah. So you're supposed to say that.
Yeah,
Because it led you here.
100%.
You see how it works out, man?
100%.
There it is. Now, Kev, I just wanted to sit down and build
crazy,
with you,
bro.
bro.
I
Like I
appreciate
said,
it,
I
man.
love what you do, man, and I can't imagine what's around the corner for you. Because and especially it's just ownership.
Yeah.
And your brand, bro. That's the main thing that I'm seeing. Like, okay, this dude is really taking care of his brand.
Yeah, I try, man, and like I also, I don't really have a big team. Like it's really just like me, James on the radio side, my boy Sam who produces the show, and then like with the podcast, it's really just me and Eric LaRock.
Yeah, man.
And
And you get good pictures out of him too.
well, he moved to Florida. He's old Jay Rye ass motherfucker over here, remote.
We losing all of our good ones.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
What was your thought process when you came to LA? You were at Rio, and then you had to stop here.
I'm gonna be honest. Like when I first came to LA, I was just so. Again, I don't have a gig. Well, I kind of had a gig if I wanted it, but it wasn't like LA, So I was just down for whatever.
Right.
So I remember Doc's like, yo, just do weekends for me. I'm going to have something for you, So eventually, fast forward 4 months, the night show opportunity comes to work with Damage and Dre.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so that was fun. Those guys are great. It just was my only time in my career where those two guys had been doing that show for a while. And then Doc inserts me, and he's like, Kev's the lead mic. So it's like, I got to tell these guys who've been doing nights here, like, I got to be the lead mic. And it just didn't make for the greatest, like, radio sometimes.
Hey, man, and keeping it real with you, when you and DJ Head were
It was
together.
different.
But I also, at some point, I didn't hear it.
That's fair.
I didn't hear it, man. And I thought that at one point, I was like, man, I remember, man, it should probably be Chuck and Head.
Right.
And then when I started to hear it, I was like, okay, I see what's going down. And then when you became just your own entity, Microphone One, I even had a conversation, keep it real with you. When Doc would ask me, I was like, man, I don't know if that's it.
Right.
I don't know if that was it. I love that. I love you and Head together because.
No, me and Head hit our stride for sure.
Yeah, and y'all motherfuckers, man, you guys, especially Head to tell you, like, man, you show him your baby and you ask.
For sure.
He gonna say your baby ugly if your baby's ugly.
No, Head's great.
You know what I'm saying? I know it is. I love it. And shout out to DJ Head too.
Yes.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man. And then when I saw you get your traction, I was like,
yeah, working with Head, it was
fucking
like
beast.
The thing about Head that I appreciated was when him and I were working together, it was always a very transparent conversations, and Head is not an ego-driven person, and his work ethic matched my work ethic.
That dude's a fucking beast.
So it was
and
like
he's another one that I feel like, man, do your brand.
Right.
Do you, bro.
Yeah, I love Head, man.
Yeah, man.
In more than one way, obviously. But
there it is.
But yeah, so for me, it was like I always kind of, though, felt like I didn't feel, I think up until we launched the syndicated show, I didn't really feel like I was doing, I'm just so used to being the guy who's running the show. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like here I didn't have the stripes here for people to be like, yeah,
put it on them.
yeah.
Give it to them.
But I'm like, bro, I do this. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I've done this everywhere. So it was nice the way everything worked out. It worked
Hell
out.
yeah.
It worked out nice.
It's always good when they call you back.
Yeah.
And pretty quickly.
That's
Hell
insane.
yeah.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello? Oh, wow.
And also, like, when I got let go, it was some salary dumping, but I did not I see the way some people get fired and they get emotional and they start acting all weird.
And
And
fuck opportunities
I'm like,
off. And,
you're a fucking loser.
right. And then this
I hope you
device
get your
right
real
here.
estate fucking license.
Yeah.
bud.
This device, man, will put you like, I can't
pe-
believe it. And you start.
People get personal over like stuff they don't own. I'm like, dude, this is a job.
right.
So like people get fired.
Hey
Budget
man,
cuts are
and
made.
that's what I used to tell people too, man. And I've told other people and people that listen to this too. They know, they say, man, he told me that. Don't get fucked up for the logo.
For sure.
Don't get yourself fucked up for the logo. You know what I'm saying?
And so when I got let go, I just was like, well, I was actually, because at the time my podcast, this was COVID. So I was actually excited. So when I got let go in December of 2020, I launched my podcast on YouTube in June of 2020. So I was already, you could ask Head, I was actually already contemplating leaving and doing my own
Right.
syndicated show.
that, yeah.
And so I was excited when I got fired. So I was like,
The opportunity.
because I'm already locked in with Doc and AO, and I'm like, well, look, me getting fired, what's not going to happen is they're going to, have something crazy to say about me. Because there's been people who's been fired from here, and they're just never going to ever work with
Right.
certain people ever again.
Right.
Because of the way they conducted themselves out the door, And I just was like, I'm going to be super gracious. I'm going to thank everybody. I put up a cool post just thanking everybody for the opportunity and launched the show. And, AO supported it right away in Vegas. And then I think within probably, what was it, like 8 months? 6 months, we were doing overnights in LA again.
I heard that. How many stations you got now?
76.
Go ahead now. Jesus.
Maybe 70.
I think I got 7 or 8. Yeah, I think 7 or 8.
Well,
man.
listen, to be fair,
Mhm.
you're a morning show,
Mhm.
and it is an extremely highly competitive syndication space to be in,
Right.
right? I purposely saw that there was a lack of night and afternoon
Oh, we
syndication.
do them all though.
Oh, okay, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
we do mornings, nights, weekends. Like, oh no, that's what it's clever. We don't just say Big Boy in the morning, Big
It's
Boy.
Big Boy's Neighborhood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We however they call and get it. Yep,
But yeah,
going over there.
it's
Take the cursing out. We got a gospel station. All right. You know what I'm saying?
we just did a deal with Premiere in January. Before we did that deal with Premiere, we were at like 25, 26 that we just built like
Organically?
I'm talking like flying out, meeting program directors,
Hell
taking them to
yeah.
lunch, sending the fat Filipino Brian Sampson,
Right.
with some donuts.
Yeah.
So it was nice. We built that network just brick by brick, relationships, OPDs.
And then Premier came in and
Well, there was an opportunity for us to not to get. I don't want to pull the curtain back
Right,
too
right,
much
right.
on what happened, but out of respect to everybody involved, but there was a other company. So me and Tom have a friendly relationship, and we kept saying like, hey, we would like to do. Like
Right.
he was like, well, I'd love to get you back under the umbrella, Long story short, there was a lot of those conversations that didn't really end up in anything getting presented to us officially. Third party came to the table with a significant situation, and once that situation was made,
yeah, then they saw it.
and they were like, "Oh,
Yeah, man.
so." But it wasn't even that. It was gonna. If
It was gonna happen.
it was gonna
but
happen.
that made it go a little
No,
fast.
it sped up the process for
Yeah,
sure.
as it
for
should.
sure.
As
And
it
because we
should.
were on a timeline, and it worked out. And like I'm gonna be honest, the Premiere folks are amazing.
Oh, really?
I love them.
Man, tell me who you dealing with over there.
I shout out to Martin. Shout out to everybody at Premiere, man. I got
Okay.
love for those guys.
All right, cool.
But you got to understand, before it was us, and then the homie Stephen Jones at United Stations. Tim Richards was consulting. We were with this small company. I feel like our first conference call, me and James were on this call with all these people that were like talking about helping, like how to brand us, and I'm like, yo, there's more people on this call
Right.
than that worked at the old place we're at, and they're all talking about how to like brand our show.
Yeah,
This
man.
is crazy.
Yeah. When we gonna wrap up, man, I just need some of those numbers of whoever you're talking to, so I can have that conversation with them as well. I'm gonna tell them that Kev sent me.
Kev, I love getting to see your father's side on Instagram, and you talked about grinding as a father early on. How do you balance being a father and a successful career?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. Give you an example. Last Friday, I had to go to my club in Scottsdale, and who did we have there? We didn't have anybody there. Oh, what did I have to go out there for? I had to go to Arizona for some. Oh, I had to go to Arizona to interview Amari Stoudemire, and then I own a nightclub and restaurant there, so I hung out at my club, and instead of me booking a flight home, I just pay my homie Arza. He drives me to AZ. I sleep on the way there. We left Thursday night. I woke up in Phoenix. My son had a game Saturday morning in Burbank. So as soon as I was done with my business in Phoenix, which was around 1 a.m, I just had that fool drive me right back, and then I was in Arizona. I was in Burbank by like 8 a.m. Ready for my kid's game. The thing about I like to have that freedom because I travel back and forth to Phoenix a lot because I do have businesses there. I like to drive because I don't have to worry about flights, and I can get here at this time, because my kids always play during the weekends. So I always try to make sure. Like, it sucks though. I'm terrible. Like, right. I'm not a terrible dad, but I'm terrible with work-life balance. Like, I got a lot going on, dude. It's a lot. New pizza place coming soon.
Oh yeah, yeah, man.
Monday, March 18th, will be open.
We'll be there. Louis, that's his favorite food.
I fucking love pizza, bro.
I see it.
Yeah.
Pizza guy.
I see it.
You should. Hell yeah.
Bootleg Kev, thank you for coming
Yes,
in,
sir.
my brother. Bootleg Kev in the neighborhood, Big Boy's neighborhood.